What's up, guys? Presley Lannom, and today we're going to be talking about springtime cranking. So, a really important aspect of springtime cranking is your rod choice. Right here, we've got a G Loomis IMX Pro crankbait rod, and I really love this rod because it's got a nice parabolic bend to it, and that's just a big fancy word for it's flexible. And especially, you want a flexible rod for when you're fishing crankbaits, because them little hooks, you don't want to rip them out of the fish's mouth. And G Loomis makes a really good crankbait rod. They're just perfect. They're made by anglers and they're built for anglers. I love G Loomis rods. Not a sponsor, but they're just really quality rods, and that's just it's a really important key to catching fish and putting them in the boat, especially in a tournament situation. Another really key part is your line size. I use Seaguar line for crankbaits. For Squarebill crankbaits, medium divers, I throw 12-pound Seaguar and Vizex fluorocarbon. So there's a big difference between lines. So there's fluorocarbons, monofilament, copolymer, braided line. And to me, fluorocarbon is going to be best because it has little to no stretch, and it really helps your crankbait get down to the true depth and run true. And 12-pound line is just the perfect medium between strength and diameter. So you're going to have a smaller diameter line, but you're really going to have that strength with the Seaguar. And we're also going to be talking about the Shimano Curado. And for crankbaits, you're going to need a lower gear ratio, because you don't want a crankbait blazing through the water where the fish can't even see it and catch up to it. So I throw a 6.2 to 1, 6.4 to 1, 6.3 to 1. They're really all just about the same, but in between that 6.2 to 1 is a really, really good starting point. And that really just helps your crankbait get a really good speed and get down to its true depth, and it doesn't wear you out, because if you've got a really high fast reel, you're going to be cranking, and your arms, your wrists are just going to be hurting by the end of the day, and nobody wants achy arms. So this is a Shimano Curado, and I use this reel for crankbaits because it's a 6.2 to 1 gear ratio, and that really helps the crankbait get a good speed under the water, and it really just helps it to run true. And it's got a really good drag on it, and you can cast these crankbaits as far as you can back up into the pockets and onto the bank. So right in here, you've got the gears. This star right here is going to be where your drag is. That's how you adjust it. This is going to be your spool tension knob, so you can get it dialed in just right for minimal backlashes. This is a Squarebill crankbait, and it's called a Squarebill because the bill is square. So these are really good springtime baits because they've got a nice wobble to them, and the wobble really entices the fish for a good reaction bite when it's running through the water, banging off rocks, and it just makes that fish want to react to it. And fish in the spring are really, really aggressive. So a erratic action, swinging side to side, banging off rocks, that makes the fish react to it and just eat it up. So this is a 1.5 Squarebill made by Strike King, and it's going to run from about 2 to 5 feet. And that's perfect depth for these springtime pre-spawners who are moving up shallow to spawn. And we're going to be going with a bluegill pattern, because what bluegill do is when the bass start to build their beds, they lay their eggs, little small bait fish that bass usually eat will want to come up and eat the bass eggs. But when bass are spawning, they're really mad, they're angry, they don't want to eat anything. Their main goal is to protect the eggs. And what this does is it makes this look exactly like a little bluegill swimming across their bed, wanting to eat their eggs. And those bass get mad. They don't eat it because they're hungry. They eat it because they're mad at it, and they want to kill it, get it off their bed, whatever they have to do to get it away from the bed so then the eggs can spawn.